Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about real estate, specifically how to leverage real estate in order to create more profit. But before we get started, I want to ask you guys a big favor. If you don't mind, if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, please subscribe now. Also, please hit that thumbs up button for me. It helps the channel by allowing YouTube to spread the video and my channel to more people so we can have them join the community and learn how to leverage real estate into more money. Well, all right, guys, thank you very much for subscribing and smashing that thumbs up button. Now let's jump on into the actual video. Real estate investing has created wealth for me over the last 25 years. And what I want to do today is share with you how I utilized real estate in order to 10x my net worth and to create the lifestyle that I currently lead today. Now, I'm going to use a technique that I've used, like I said, for the last 25 years, and that technique is leveraging. Leveraging was extremely important to me as I built my real estate portfolio. And I did it without having a whole lot of money. So let me walk you through initially what I did in order to actually get into real estate. The first thing I had to do was I had to raise some money. I know there is a myth out there that you can get into real estate and make all of this money without having to invest any money. I don't agree with that. At least in my situation, I had to save some money up in order to be able to buy a piece of property, or at least put a down payment on a piece of property. Now, when I was 26 years old, I bought my first single family home. And I saved up for a couple of years. I had $3,500 saved up, and I bought my first property with $3,500 down. And the way I did that was a program called First Time Home Buyers, where you can only have to put 3.5% down in order to get into your primary residence. So that's what I did. The house cost me about $68,000. I put 3.5% down, and I was in my own home, my own real estate. And from there, what I did in order to continue to leverage my way to a full real estate portfolio is every couple of years, I would leave my current home and I would move into a second home. But before I moved into that second home, I was able to tap into the equity in the current home in order to use that equity as a down payment on the second home. So I basically took my primary residence and I leveraged it to buy a second primary residence, which I moved into, and then I put a tenant in the first primary residence. So now I got two properties. One I have a tenant in, and then the second property I live in, or I lived in at the time. And the way I got into that second property was leveraging the equity from the first property. Now, guys, I did that for 3 times. So I moved 3 times, used the equity each time I moved from each property in order to buy the next property. So the third time I did that, I had one property with a tenant in it, which was my first home. I had the second home, which had a tenant in it. And then the third home had a tenant in it. And I was living in the fourth home. So I did that 3 times, all from a $3,500 investment. I had increased my real estate portfolio from 1 house to 4 houses. So once I got to the 4th house, how did I continue to invest in real estate? Let me give you a quick example. So if I have $100,000, I've raised it, I saved it, I have $100,000 and I want to buy myself a piece of real estate. Now I got two choices, at least the way I look at it. I can take that 100 grand. So let's go 100K. I can take 100K and I can go ahead and buy one property. So I can buy one property for that 100K. So now I control one piece of real estate. Or I could take that 100K and buy 5 properties. So I could take the 100K and buy one property, or I could take the 100K and buy 5 properties. So how do I do that? Well, instead of me taking my full 100K and paying 100K for a property and only one property, I would take that 100K and buy 5 properties for $100,000 each. So I would take the 100K, I would buy 5 properties that cost 100K each. Now I already know it's going to cost me about 20% of my own money in order to get into one of these properties that cost 100K. So I take 100K times 20%, that's $20,000. That would be my down payment. So instead of me buying one property for $100,000 and controlling only one property, I'm going to split up the $100,000 and buy 5 properties by putting $20,000 down on each property. So now I control 500K in properties. So now I control 500K in properties. So I went from controlling one property for 100K to controlling 5 properties with that $100,000 in cash to controlling $500,000 in properties. So one property or 5 properties, it's the same $100,000. I just leveraged it. I just leveraged that $100,000 into 5 properties instead of one property. And like I said, the way I did that was I just split the $100,000 up into 5 $20,000 pieces. And then I took that $20,000, which represents 20% down of a property that costs $100,000, and I bought 5 of them. Now, the reason I like that method of leveraging is because I can control one property that cost me 100K and say I got a 5% net return on this one property, which is about, so I got a 5% net return, which is about $5,000 a year per year. So 100K, one property, 5% net return will give me $5,000 a year in cash flow. Or I can take that same 100K and buy 5 properties, same net 5% return, and I get on $500,000, I get a $25,000 a year return. So I go from controlling one property, 5% net return, give me $5,000 a year, or I can leverage that 100K into 5 properties, control $500,000 in real estate, and make $25,000 a year net rental income based on a 5% return. So that's how that works, guys. Now, that's just on the cash flow. What about the capital appreciation? In my experience, real estate, residential, single-family homes, which is what is my preference when it comes to investing in real estate, is going to appreciate about 4% a year. So I'm going to hold, just say for instance, I held this property that I paid 100K for. I held that property for 5 years. I'm going to get 4% appreciation a year, right? So that's going to be about 20% appreciation. So at the end of 5 years, this property that I paid 100 for is now worth So in 5 years, 4% appreciation per year, the property will be worth $120K. I paid $100. So I got about a $20,000 capital appreciation. But if we take that same $100K in this example where I leveraged it and I created $500,000 in real estate by utilizing and leveraging this $100K, and I use the same 4% appreciation method on $500,000 in 5 years, my $500,000 would have appreciated to $600K, which represents $100,000 in capital appreciation. So not only did I leverage $100,000 and I control $500,000 in assets, I also get a $25K per year cash flow, net cash flow, 5% net cash flow, and my property appreciated $100,000. All because I invested $100K 5 years ago. I doubled my money. Just off appreciation, I doubled my money. Not even counting the cash flow, the net cash flow of $25,000 per year. So in essence, I tripled my money I tripled my money. I made $125K on the actual cash flow over 5 years, because it's $25 a year. And then I made another $100K on the appreciation. So I made $225K in 5 years on a $100,000 investment. And that's the power right there, guys, of leverage. And again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. I was a guy who didn't know anything about real estate at 26. I bought my first house. I moved into it. I leveraged it. I leveraged the next house. I leveraged the next house until I could create enough cash where I could start really utilizing leverage on the money that I had made and saved. And I just took that money, instead of buying one property, I just figured out a way to buy multiple properties with that money. And that's all leverage is. Now, don't get me wrong. You got to know what you're doing and you have to be smart about it. But I think with single family homes, for me, that's the best asset class of real estate. It just is. 68% of people in the United States own their own home. So for me, that's just a wide open network of homes and people and opportunity. And I think it's the safest investment when it comes to real estate. But this leverage technique is something that I wanted to share with you guys. And I hope you found it helpful. It has really served me well. I apologize about all the chicken scratch. I'm not real good on these boards, but I did want to give you some type of visual of what I was talking about. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is something that would work for you? I think it can. Also, remember, I have a company called RF Financial Consulting, and I help people figure this type of thing out, put them on a pathway so that they can have a bright financial future. So if you're interested in that, the email address of RF Financial Consulting is in the description box of the video, or you can certainly DM me on Instagram at RichardFain28. Guys, thank you for stopping by the channel today. I hope this was helpful. Again, please subscribe to the channel, share the video, and smash that like button for me. And until the next one, guys, keep chasing your greatness. Never stop believing in yourself. Peace.